Hello and welcome back to By the Board Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Mind. The Mind is a card game by Wolfgang Warsch and is published in the UK by Coiled Spring. It's 2 to 4 players and it's a fairly short game. The box says 20 minutes, but it really could be anywhere from a few minutes to about half an hour, depending on how long people are taking and how many rounds you get through. So, the gameplay. The Mind is a cooperative game of placing down cards in ascending order. That is essentially it. The trick is that you can't communicate with each other. So it ends up looking a bit like this. In some ways, it's kind of neat. It's a very, very easy game to explain. The rule book is really small. It's just these two sides. They look a bit text heavy, but actually it's really, really straightforward. Each player will be given a hand of cards. At the start, it's one card each, and those cards have numbers on them. And the idea is that you put your cards in ascending order onto the table. So, this is my card, I'd have it facing me, and the person opposite may have, say, number 68. Without communicating at all, we have to decide who has the lowest number, and they have to put their card down first. This gets more complicated the more cards you have, and throughout the game you'll acquire more cards in your hand to put down. These are called levels. So the gameplay is really straightforward. It comes in a small box that's well organised. It's very good for taking on holidays, a bit like small box games like Double or things from Oink Games. I can see the appeal with the small form factor. It's simply a deck of cards. For me, the art's a bit confusing. The main character in this particular game is a floating bunny with a peace sign necklace. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't really understand what that's got to do with psychic powers. Now, the fact that it is a psychic thing totally makes sense because you're not allowed to communicate at all verbally or with your hands or anything, so you need to be trying to determine what the other person's thinking. Psychic makes total sense. Floating rabbit, I don't get, so I'm not too sure what's going on with that. It also says let's become one, and which I also don't understand in the context of a rabbit. I mean, it could be the Spice Girls song, put the Spice Girls on there, when two become one, but it could also be when four become one, so that makes that a bit more complicated. The artwork is good, it's really well put together, the rabbits are nicely done, some entertaining cards, some flat on the face rabbit for level 12, that's your final level, and they're just quite nice, but they're fine. There's nothing really special about it in terms of artwork. I'm not feeling massively inspired by the numbers, pretty basic text there. But what it is really nice and clear. So we're not getting confused by lots of images and pictures and things like that. So in terms of accessibility, this game's really good. The numbers are incredibly clear. The game doesn't require verbal communication, so those who are deaf or hard of hearing actually don't need to be able to have lots of verbal interaction to play this game effectively. Colourblind, it doesn't matter, these are black and white, and the small form factor means that you don't have to have a lot of room on your shelf. The components. So you won't be able to see it from here, but the cards are actually really nice texture. They're not the smooth glossy cards that you would normally expect. They have a texture, and if you had a look at them, and you won't be able to see it here, but it's got kind of grid lines. I'm not too sure what that's called. It's just a nicer card to hold. It means they don't get stuck so much when you're shuffling. So I think that's a well thought out really card. I'm not sure if it's more premium, likely it more is. But it also makes it feel like it's going to have a bit of longevity. These are going to last through quite a lot of plays, which is nice. And they've clearly thought about that when this went into production. Overall, I don't really get it. I don't really understand why this is a game. I've played this a few times 2-player. To be fair, I haven't played it with more than 2 players, but it is usually just a case of kind of staring at each other until someone puts a card down. There are some extra elements to this, so you have lives and you have a shuriken star, which means that everyone gets rid of their lowest numbered card, but that's about it as a game for me, and I like my games to be a little more complicated than putting down numbers. So I've mentioned in my unboxing that it's a little bit like Hanabi, that's true, but not very far. Hanabi adds an extra level of complexity in that you don't know what your cards are, and you do have some communication there, but it's very limited. I think a little bit like Codenames if you've played it, but I don't think it's any more than that. In terms of if I would play it, how do I actually rate this game? This is a game that I would not object to playing. I'm not going to say no. If this comes to the table, I'm not going to walk off, but I'm not going to ask for it. So my ratings for determining games in my reviews are going to be would object to playing, would not object to playing, would ask to play, and is on the shelf. On the shelf being, of course, I own it, that must mean I really like it. Would object to playing is I just don't want to engage with that game at all. But yeah, so this is one that I wouldn't say no to if people really wanted to play it, but it's certainly not something that I'd ask to play. So that's it for my review. Hopefully that was a fairly short and sweet one. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. And thank you for watching. Bye.